what other styles besides stuff with cards do you like, or do you actually do, or anything of the sort?
Other than cards?
Yeah.
Not really. I mess around with coins here and there. I'm not too good at it. I'm trying to get better because I don't know. It's cards are my first love, but coin magic, I love it. I love Eric Jones. I love all the coin guys. Brandon Wolf. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I'm not positive, but freaking Eric Jones is. I've watched a few of his metal downloads. Like, I think I saw Metal 5, and he does this thing where he I think he's showing the coin in like JW grip or whatever.
Yeah.
Like snap it back like onto his upper arm up here, and it'll just land there. And
yeah, it's crazy.
Or he did one into a breast pocket as well.
Yeah, it goes in his pocket.
So I got into this really young. I mean, I'm only 21, so that's still young. I was, yeah.
Guess how old I am?
34.
33. You were close.
33 was maybe my first guess. And I was like, let me go 4.
It's interesting, man. You always got to go with it.
Yeah, damn. So I probably got into this, like, my grandfather showed me a few tricks, really simple, like the one where you, like, put the card behind your back and you, like, flip it at the face and you look at it and you go back and you turn it.
Oh, yeah, I love that trick. That always fools me for some reason.
I had someone who's a friend and they knew I did magic, and I showed them some stuff. They're like, oh, I know a trick. And they basically did that. And, I'm watching it, and then they picked my card out, and I'm like, hold on. I had to think about it. And I'm like, okay, you went behind your back twice, so you must have flipped it and looked. And it was funny how, like, I was this close to, like, not having a clue how they did it. And I felt very embarrassed. But anyway, yeah. So a few stuff like that, and the one with, like, where you put the cards in a grid, and you're like, what column is it? And you redeal them. And
yeah.
And I don't know, I was pretty interested in that. And then I got a few, like, magic kits when I was a kid, and the cups and balls and everything. And I don't know, I always just gravitated to the card stuff, and then pretty much just learned everything on YouTube for forever.
Actually, the first time I ever saw a card trick was when my uncle showed me a card trick when I was like 9, and it blew my mind. And so I've been interested in magic ever since then. But the first time I've been bit by the bug is when I first saw David Blaine on TV, and I was just like,
aren't we all? Yeah, that's the common story. I remember watching some of those Blaine specials on YouTube. I was a little later, obviously, but yeah, I always loved that stuff. I remember, like, so I'm curious. Do you remember what trick it was your uncle showed you?
Yeah, it was just a double lift, like an Amish's card type thing.
Yeah, cool. I don't know. There's something about, like, I remember when I was younger and I'd watch, like, I'm trying to think, like, Blaine do, like, the card through glass, or like even the one that's like where he would twist his arm around all the way. I don't know if you remember. And like,
I do that all the time.
Yeah, this was before I had, like, much of a concept of even card magic besides, like, a double lift and a few basic things. And I would still do tricks and perform, but they were all really basic. And so I remember being like no idea where to even start. And looking back now, it's like I don't get that feeling almost never anymore. It sucks.
I know, dude, it sucks. I wish I could get that feeling one more time in my life before I die.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, like, I've gotten some downloads, in the recent years where I'll watch it and I'll be like, okay, I have no idea. And then sometimes you'll get it and you'll be like, okay, well, they cut that out. But sometimes I'll be pleasantly surprised and I'll see the full performance and be like, okay, I still have no idea how this works. And it's always freaking Danny Doherty's freaking pulls the pants off me every single time.
It's always so. Every time.
I love Danny. He's like, one of my faves for sure. But back on topic a little bit. So after I really gravitated towards cards, and, like, I learned mostly on YouTube, and then started to be like, okay, I think I've peaked on a lot of the stuff, at least that I want to learn on YouTube. And then I'm not much of a reader, unfortunately, but I started like more lectures and paying for stuff, that way. And then even in the last few years, more recently, is when I started to like, okay, I'd be watching a lecture and it'd be like, learn how to do this in this book, and I'd be like, I don't want to read the book, but no, but honestly, magic books are the only thing I'll read. Honestly, like I don't even read my textbooks.
Yeah, I've never read a book besides a magic book, probably ever.
Yeah, there's just something about it. I don't know, something that
it's just hard to get through. I hear you.
I definitely. Yeah, but now, like, I've had different phases since I'd say I was like quite good to the point where, like, I guess what convinced me to do YouTube is I was like, one, I don't think I've ever really met another magician in my life, like in person.
There you go.
So I was like, okay, I have some bit of niche, and like, I knew there was a community online, but the community online, I find like, there's the people who are good and do YouTube, and then they're the pros, whatever. And then there are a lot of people who are just like hobbyists, obviously. And so, but then I realized at a point, like, okay, I am more than a hobbyist, and I don't want to sound like I don't like talking about myself, but I was good. And so I was like, YouTube.
Of course, you're excellent, man. You're fucking talented as hell.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Sean. And anyway, that was like a good like thing for me to be like, okay, if I actually do this YouTube thing, it's gonna be worth it. And then like, this is another topic actually. Let me write this down so I don't forget, because I don't want to go into it now because it'll be a rant. But like, it's come in waves about like what I get interested in. So all these cards are like my first love and what I love to do. But I had a phase where I was like super like Daniel Madison sleight of hand.
Yeah,
he really caught my attention.
Too, by the way, I think everybody has that phase, including me.
Yeah, and it's like everything. Like I do like all his crazy sleights and like risky things, and I was good at them. I would get away with them. Most of the tricks I would perform were like Madison things but then I ran into the problem where it'd be like I'd be out and someone would have to see something. I'm like, okay, there's like 10 people around. And I'm like, I can do a gambler's cop with people around me. I'm good with that. But like freaking like this switch thing that he does, or like the drop cop and all these like, I'm like, with the card, like, and I just found myself like I'm like, I can't do some of these. Like I used to do his, I still love it. The card to box where you like load it out of a gambler's cop, like right in front of them. Love that idea. But then again, it's like, unless they're right in front of me, I don't know, I couldn't really do it. So then I'd always been a fan of Danny Doherty's, and I started to pick up a few more of his downloads that I hadn't seen. And like, I swear to God, every trick would like fool the pants off me, because the techniques he uses are either really simple, but he does them in like a totally different way, or they're actually like much lesser known techniques, and then the way he uses them are crazy. And so I got into his stuff, and then I started doing a bunch of like low sleight of hand self-working things because I could do them anywhere, and they were still so good. And then I was like, now I've found a good balance where I like have the tricks that I can do anywhere, anytime, impromptu. And then lately, in the past year or so, maybe a bit more, I've always been into mentalism, like really love it, as like, there's something about a card trick versus a mentalism trick from a layman perspective that is like, I don't think they can really compare, you know what I mean? Like having to feel like someone reads your mind versus like finds your card. And like, there's some great tricks with cards where it feels like you're reading their mind.
So I basically do three styles. I do card stuff, I do phone magic, and I do mentalism. And I love something about phones because I'm pretty into tech. So like I've found some like different like little weird things that people don't know about with their phones and like use them in like magic tricks or whatever. And also a lot of the stuff you do with phones is in the mentalism category, so it usually hits really strong. And then there's the whole other side of that, which is like magic apps, which there are some really insane killer ones out there. And so there's that. And then, but in terms of mentalism, like I don't know, I could never see myself walking around with anything but maybe like billets to do mentalism, and then it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Have them write down their thought and peek it over and over. So then I don't know, like a lot of the props in mentalism are stuff that I'm like, okay, I'm not going to use the little box and they put the thing in, like I'm not going to use your little wine glass. Like I don't know, I like being able to leave the house with this, like this, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, so then the propless mentalism got very intriguing to me, because there's something about literally using nothing and having nothing and being able to perform a magic trick that's all up here. That's really cool. So Pete Turner is you know, I don't know if you've ever looked at any of Pete's stuff, if you're not into mentalism. And I mean, just the way he thinks, I don't know, insane. And
yeah, it's crazy sometimes.
So like, and so I've been reading a lot of his stuff and over the last few years, and you know, been working on some routines that are you know, I can pretty much do anywhere with virtually nothing, and working on a few of those recently. And so, you know, the propless stuff's really cool, and after, it's like anything, right? Once you learn the techniques, and the techniques in propless mentalism, at least to me, are incredible, because it really, like, to me, it's real mentalism almost, because you're using tricks, you're almost using tricks of the mind and subtleties to determine things, right? And once you know those, like I have a list of the different principles, you know, and then from there I can create my own stuff.